I'd like to call to order the meeting of Hamilton Township Committee, meeting Monday, February 5th, 2018. Will you please all rise for the flag salute?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Law by posting a notice of this meeting on the bulletin board in the municipal building and by publication in the Press of Atlantic City on January 5th, 2018, and the Atlantic County Record on January 10th, 2018. Mr. Gishard?
Present.
Mr. Kurtz?
Here.
Mrs. Link?
Here.
Mr. Silva?
Here.
And Mayor Schenker.
Here. I'd like to have a moment of silence for private reflection. Thank you. Well, we have some guests here tonight. I didn't think any of you would show after last night. Everybody was up late. So I'd like to ask the Mays Landing Fire Department if they'd come down front here. Just in case you don't know, these are the officers of the Mays Landing Fire Department, and we, as a township committee, and I'm sure all you in the township appreciate what they do. They do a lot of work behind the scenes, not just rolling down the street in a fire truck. We really appreciate it. Tonight we're going to swear them all in for another year. Chief, if you'd like to start with introductions, please.
Yeah, Louis D. Martin, Chief of Mays Landing Fire Company.
Ken Badger, Assistant Chief, Mays Landing Fire Company.
Larry Birch, Captain. Robert D. Johnson, Captain.
Ford Silva, Captain.
Richard Royal, Captain. Tim Wellington, President. Nick Wild, Secretary.
I, state your name, solemnly swear that I will uphold and support the Constitution and bylaws of the Mays Landing Volunteer Fire Company, the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and the Constitution of the United States of America, and that I will fulfill the duties of my office to the best of my abilities. So help me God. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'd now like to ask the members of the Cologne Fire Company and the Ladies Auxiliary to come down here, please. Big group. Chief, if you would like to start the introductions.
Sean Valori, Chief of Cologne Volunteer Fire Company.
Paul Graham, Assistant Chief, Cologne Volunteer Fire Company.
Jim Ent, Captain.
Mark Short, Lieutenant.
Dave Elkner, Engineer.
Sam Squire, President.
Mike Gaston, Vice President.
Bill Towns, Treasurer.
Brian Clark, Secretary.
Carol Phelps, President of the Ladies Auxiliary. Sandy Hickerson, Vice President of the Ladies Auxiliary. Pat Lucci, Treasurer. Sandy Nick, Susan Dalton, Secretary.
Thank you very much. Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will uphold and support the Constitution and bylaws of the Cologne Volunteer Fire Company, the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and the Constitution of the United States of America, and that I will fulfill the duties of my office
and I will fulfill the duties of my office
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much. John, if you would.
Sure.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry to get out of here, but I couldn't find my suit. Pretty sure, but I'm not certain. I might have had a little bit too much to drink last night. And I asked Sue where my suit was, and she said she threw it out. But anyway, despite the way I'm dressed, I am a lawyer. And the most amazing thing is, I'm their lawyer. So, considering what happened yesterday, I figured that you would need competent counsel tonight. And I didn't think I was up for the task, so I asked my associate, Jessica Gum, and to represent you. But I felt it incumbent, because my whole life I've been an Eagles fan. And now I'm a Lakers fan. Right? We all bleed green now. God bless the Eagles. Thank you.
Amen.
God bless the Eagles.
So I hear you guys did something pretty special. They did. Huh? Yeah. And I hear the parents, some of the family members did something special too, raised enough money to get you out to Canton, Ohio. First you had to win a couple games to get there, so I'll tell you what, very impressive. Very impressive. And you know, you look at the team that just won the Super Bowl yesterday, without their starting quarterback. You know, nobody thought they could do it. They were the underdogs each and every game, and look what happened. So, you guys made us very proud. I'd like to ask the coaches to come up. Joe, is Joe Lynch here? Joe and Jay Torres, Paul Bergen. Any of the assistant coaches that are here, you want to come on up? Everybody should be recognized for this. It's pretty special. Joe, would you like to, we'll read the proclamation. Would you like to call out your names? Okay, so that they can be recognized.
I will put this here. It's the,
When you call your name, come on up front. Everybody
Dustin,
wants to see.
Dustin Anderson. Hayden Bailey. Jameer Bryson. Paul Callahan. Noah Pressman.
Come on over this way, guys.
Nico Cruz. Noah Davis. Austin DiCario. Nadine Trinkett. Jeremiah Set. Lucas Espin. Amir Haddock. Peter Haley. Xavier Hernandez. No, he's here. Nasir Hill. Joaquin Hill. Sam Kuliko. Isaac Payne. Ty Lewis. King. Brandon Cow. John Paul. Stephen Spring. Yeah, Richard, that's it. I don't see it.
We have a proclamation we'd like to give to the team to recognize their efforts. If you would-
Sure, I'd be happy to. Whereas the Mays Landing Lakers 14U varsity football team is comprised of young men and women ages 12 to 14 that plays in the Atlantic County Junior Football League. The varsity team has a record of 54-6 over the last 6 years and is recognized as one of the top teams in the nation for their age group. And whereas the Mays Landing Lakers 14U varsity football team was selected to play the 2017 National Youth Championship sponsored by the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And whereas on December 3rd, 2017, the Lakers won the 14U Gold Division Regional Championship in Middletown, Delaware, followed by an impressive third place in the National Championship in Canton, Ohio in December of 2017. Now, therefore, we, the Township Committee of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, and State of New Jersey, on this day, February 5th, 2018, do hereby recognize the Mays Landing 14U varsity football team in honor of the remarkable accomplishment. This achievement is not only a credit to the hard work and dedication, but is a credit to the support they have received from their families, coaches, teammates, and teachers. We congratulate the Mays Landing 14U varsity football team for their incredible success in the 2017 season and wish them the best of luck for many years to come. Let's have a round of applause.
All I'd like to say, this was one heck of a season. These kids, they deserve this. This is for you guys. Really good job. Like Sandman said, go Lakers and go Birds.
Amen. Hey, Coach, hold up the trophy so everybody could see it, please. Look at that. It's like the Super Bowl one. Amen.
Good job, guys.
Congratulations.
Good job, boys.
Joe Bradley, that's it. Excuse me. What position? We out here? Great job. Thank you.
That's it. Congratulations, though, guys.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Amazing.
A rough position.
Well, the day and age, you know.
Sometimes we go too far with that stuff.
See, when I grew up in Elizabeth, we had county. You went out, you signed it. So like the 13
That was
good real kind of
It's funny, he's been a coach with them forever.
That is true.
Very surprised, yeah.
well, sister is here. But
Thank you.
then
there goes our audience.
Hey, Art,
Yes,
I
sir.
stopped that young lady. She played defense.
They all look so little.
Did she? Yeah.
Yeah, they had to go through the whole series
Use
to
her on the
get.
Patriots.
14 and under, I think.
About
14.
Finals,
Yeah.
get recognized as
See, they
nationals.
cleared out.
Yeah, the
I guess
nationals.
it's like 8th grade and
Where'd all the
freshman.
people go,
I
Rita?
think, yeah.
Where'd all the people go?
There goes our audience. We thought we were popular.
Well, Art, that's it. Your minute of
That's
fame
it.
is over.
That's-
Motion to adjourn.
All right. So I guess we're going to call things back to order, so to speak. We have another presentation by Fred Akers, the Great Egg Harbor Watershed Association. He's going to give us a status update on the Green Acres grant to acquire Block 809, Lot 6. Thanks, Fred.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the committee. Happy New Year. I'm happy to be here. I have some good news to report and some work yet to be done on the acquisition project. But before I start with the details, I would like to really thank Phil Sartorio for partnering with us to do the work to get this project done. And it's been a lot of work. We've successfully won 2 Green Acres grants, which is a big accomplishment in itself. So the Watershed Association was awarded a Green Acres grant, and so was the Township of Hamilton. So that was a big first step in the project. After that, the next step was to get a fair market value appraisal for the property, and we accomplished that late last year. So that was a process. It took about a month for the appraiser to do his work, and then it took a month for Green Acres to certify that. So that number came out to be $38,000. So I'm estimating, well, the cost of the appraisal was $2,100, and there's some other what's called soft cost that will be incurred once we find the other 50% of the money, because the Green Acres grants is only going to cover 50% of the fair market value and the soft costs. So I'm estimating the project total will be 48,000 around there. So 50% of that is about 24,000. So we've accomplished those things. I've applied to the Zoning Board of Adjustment to extend the zoning variance for the owner in case things don't work out, so he can reserve his property rights to build if we don't end up finding all of the money. And the next step is going to Atlantic County and asking them to match the Green Acres funds. So that's where we stand. Phil and I have already been talking about strategy. I drafted a letter which I just passed out. I did that today, so that's a rough draft, and I'll be looking for your administrator and Phil Sartorio to help perfect that, and then we'll approach the county. I spoke with Jerry Del Rosso on the phone today and gave him a heads up that we're going to be asking for money, and the county has been telling us that they are really not interested in acquiring more open space. And I'm not put off by that. I think that our project is really a good one. I'm really excited about it, and I'm really committed to it. That piece of property is a nice little green space in downtown Mays Landing, and it's wetlands and has conservation value, and it's going to be a great piece of parkland not to have a house on stilts on it. So that's pretty much my update. Any questions or comments?
Fred, this connects through to the Underhill Park.
Yes, across the creek.
Right.
And that was one of the key components to get Green Acres, which is really a heavy lift for them to agree that it's worthwhile.
Right.
Is that the township owns this parcel that's the creek.
Right.
So on one side is Underhill, and on the other side is the peninsula at the end of 2nd Street where this lot is on.
Right.
So I could make that connection that it would, all be one piece of open space in the end.
Exactly. Much better than a property built up on stilts or something out there.
Just curious, you mentioned the market value of $38,000. How long is that valid? And if the seller doesn't agree to that, where do we go from there?
I think I don't know exactly the answer to your first question. I think it's about a year, but you're right, there is a time limit. The owner, I've been in close contact with the owner, and he's not happy with $38,000, but he's not saying no. And my organization, I've kind of worked it so we're in a position that we may have extra money if we need that to make a deal with him once we get the fair market value part of it. So that's a key, and I explained it to him in the beginning that once we get the appraisal, that kind of locks that number in as far as getting grant funding from Green Acres, the state, or the county, or my backup place would be something called the Stewart Trust. If the county says no, we still have an option to go to another source of funding, and that needs to be, that application would have to be in by August 1st. So I think we should know, in a month or so if the county's going to like the project and want to be a partner. I think it's an opportunity for the county to do something good, especially given the aspect of this project being flood prone and the idea of resilience, trying to be resilient to climate change, and not building a house in a bad spot is one way to do that.
One more question. You mentioned 2 grants. Who wrote the 2 grants, or the request for the grants?
Well, the Watershed Association applied for 1 grant, and the township applied for the township. And Phil Sartorio was fundamental in getting the township grant. I wrote a lot of the language for both because they were pretty much the same, but they put you through the ringer. And one of the things they wanted from the township was an updated recreation and open space inventory, which Phil had to work on, and he had already done some of that work for the county master plan as well. But I mean, they're all good things to have. And it was difficult for the Watershed Association to qualify because we had never applied before, and they kind of put us through the ringer, making us hire a lawyer to prove we were a charitable conservancy. And we hung in there, and we did that, and we got the grant. So in the future, we might be able to do another project.
Well, we appreciate your work. And
Fred, how does this impact the Underhill property? Is it flooding or what is the problem?
Say your question again.
Yeah, I mean, where does the flooding occur? We're trying to exacerbate flooding. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, in Hurricane Sandy, 2nd Street was one of the hardest places hit where there was flooding.
Yeah, flow. I
First
know.
floor of 3 or 4 or 5 houses there, and you had a consultant do a report about that, and those 2nd Street properties were some of the most vulnerable in the report. And it's been an interesting journey to do this because I first applied for Blue Acres funding, and I had a hard time getting a response from Blue Acres, and I had to go through Jim Whalen. to get them to respond. And finally they did, and they were very nice. But they said they wanted to, they were focused on doing clusters of houses that are vulnerable to flooding. And I was asked, would I be able to get the other people on the street to agree to sell? And I kind of passed on that and said, no, we just want to do this one property. So they said, no, well, we can't, that's not what our program is for Blue Acres. So they did put a pitch into the county. So I've been pitching this project for the last year and a half with the county, so it's not new to them. And I was at the Freeholder Board meeting on Tuesday, and they had invited me to come to support a resolution they were passing against offshore oil drilling. If you want to do something, if you want to do that, I'll be happy to help you with that. There's a deadline of February 9th. Anyways, I got off the track. So I saw Freeholder Gatto there and updated her on the status of the project and how it's going. So I'm hopeful that the county will see this it's really good. I think it's a great project. They'll see that. There'll be an opportunity they won't want to miss. I'm hoping.
Good. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, thanks for your efforts.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thanks, Fred.
Any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you, Fred. Appreciate your update. We have additions and a deletion of late agenda items to be considered for action. We have one item here.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. Early public comment on the agenda items excluding items listed for public hearings. Mike?
Yes, Mayor, we have John Percy for items 7C and 5A.
Which items were they, Mike?
7C and 5A.
7C, 5A.
Good evening, members of the committee. John Percy. Comment on 5A first, which is the vacation, the introduction of an ordinance to vacate certain streets up in the Weymouth, DeCosta area. A parcel of property on one of those streets will lose its right of way in that vacation. And this is going to be a matter for the attorney and the engineer to get together to make sure that you're not going to be spending money on an ordinance that may have a problem. Vacating the one street will cause this property owner to lose the right of way. That particular piece of property also adjoins Mullica Township. And the thought being, well, because he can get to the property from Mullica Township, you can't really, if you vacate the street, you can't really get to the property unless Mullica Township is involved in it somehow. So I just wanted to have him take a look at it before you go through that particular exercise. 7A, or 7C, I'm sorry. Resolution accepting a Safe and Secure Communities Program grant in the amount of $60,000 with a local cash match of $184,000. That kind of in reverse of what we've been doing. We get a grant for $60,000. We get a grant for $184,000. We got to match it with cash with the other side. I don't understand that.
This particular grant covers 2 police officers' salaries. You have to, the match is they're giving us $30,000 each for a total of $60,000. The rest of their salaries and benefits make up the match. They're officers we already have on staff. It's not new officers. So it's $60,000 free money, basically.
60 plus 84, that's $240,000.
Yeah, that's salaries and benefits.
For two officers?
2 officers, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Anyone else, Mike?
No, sir.
Okay. Move on to discussions. We have no discussions. Public hearing. Adoption of ordinances. We have an ordinance 1871, 2018. An ordinance authorizing the sale of Lot 1, Block 526, as shown on the tax map of the Township of Hamilton, and granting to the owner or owners of said real property contiguous of the same right of prior refusal to purchase such land in the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey. This is a public hearing. I'd like to open the floor to the public.
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public portion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
I'll move ordinance 1871, 2018.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to move ordinance 1871, 2018. Need a roll call for that, Rita?
Yes. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
Thank you. Item B, ordinance 1872, 2018, an ordinance amending Exhibit A, Section 1, Article 2 of Chapter 66, maximum salaries. This is a public hearing. Does anybody from the public like to speak? Mr. Carrigan.
Yes, Mike, is this related to the union contract?
No, it's not. These three positions, in order to get the 2% increase, we have to raise the maximum allowable salary for the position. Every position is capped at a certain salary.
Okay.
And the 2% raise that the committee approved would make these three salaries hit the cap.
Okay.
So we have to raise the cap a little bit.
Okay. Thanks.
Anyone else like to speak in the public?
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the public portion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the ayes have it.
I move ordinance 1872, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to move ordinance 1872, 2018. Roll call vote, please, Rita.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and adopted.
We move to introduction of ordinances. 5A, ordinance 1873, 2018. An ordinance vacating certain portions of the public alleys known as 2nd Street and 3rd Street, situated on Block 229, Lots 3 and 4, Blocks 232, Lots 1, 2, and 3, Blocks 232, Lots 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and Block 235, Lots 1, 4, 5, as shown in the tax map of the Township of Hamilton, County of Atlantic, State of New Jersey, and releasing, extinguishing the public rights therein.
Did I hear Mr. Percy say that if this ordinance introduces, can he deny someone the right of way?
Yes, he did. I don't know if...
John, was that?
Okay, Steve, okay.
Committee, I've done a pretty thorough evaluation of, basically, these two streets that are, the request for vacation is within Aztec Materials, a mining operation. There's two municipal unimproved streets that the applicant has requested to be vacated. We've done a pretty thorough evaluation. There's one sliver of land that's owned by a John Brunetti within Hamilton Township, and that land borders on Mullica Township. Mr. Brunetti owns 5 very large parcels in Mullica Township, and I've done a very thorough evaluation. If we were to vacate these sections of streets that were the ordinance is about, we would eliminate his ability to access our municipal streets, but he has access to a number of streets within Mullica Township. These are unimproved streets, but we're not cutting him off. If we approve this ordinance, we're not going to cut him off.
So he still has access to his property in another way? He's
He
not
owns
landlocked?
hundreds and hundreds of acres that are completely contiguous.
So he's not landlocked?
He's not landlocked.
Okay.
And Mr. Percy raised this question at the planning board meeting last Thursday night. We vetted it pretty well, but I'm of the opinion, and I've sent this over to our solicitor, that we're not going to landlock him at all. He owns a very large parcel. We're not going to landlock him. It just happens to be his access to municipal right-of-ways will be through Mullica Township.
Is there any indication that he utilizes any of that for any access?
No, it's entirely wet. This parcel that...
It's wet?
His parcel is 100% wet, and the surrounding parcels are 100% wet.
Also, this vacation occurred previously. and it wasn't completely rectified by recordation. So it was in 1990, it was vacated by the Township Committee at that time, but through some minor error in listing the lots or something in the caption, it wasn't properly recorded. So you're basically redoing that which has been done already.
Done already?
Right.
Okay.
I reviewed the records from 1990, and that's exactly the case. It's the same block and lot numbers, exactly, you know, the same process, but that last final step of the recording just never occurred.
How does this benefit us vacating that piece of property? I mean, I think it might be obvious.
Property, when you vacate property, you have to find that it's property that's not necessary for public use. That's one of the incumbent findings, and that happened in 1990.
Okay.
It happened on the advice of the then township engineer and the then township committee. What it does is it's more of a value to the landowner that's getting the property than it is to us, because we have decided it's not necessary for us to have that.
Any other questions?
As it occurs right now, do we have to remove snow and stuff like that?
It's unimproved.
It's unimproved, okay, but it's not,
Paper street.
yeah, okay.
Rodney?
Yeah, I'm just, is this something that typically an engineer or a township engineer would be involved in? I mean, obviously it must be, but.
I'm, yes, and the reason is we need to make sure that we're not going to cause some limitation or harm by vacating the street. In other words, are we going to, the question is someone going to be landlocked by the vacation of the street? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And the answer is no.
And that's an answer the engineer would address, the township
Yes,
engineer.
and it started a number of meetings ago at the planning board, and the one task that I was faced with was double check the tax records in Mullica Township, because, you know, we just want to make sure a landowner is not landlocked by this vacation.
Okay.
All right, this is an introduction of ordinance 1873, 2018, with the public hearing to be held on February 20th, 2018. What's your pleasure?
I'll move to introduce ordinance 1873, 2018.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes, introduced.
Awards of bids and contract and change orders. Resolution 6A, resolution authorizing the award of bid 2017-12, pump maintenance and testing fire apparatus repair incorporated. The period of January 1st, 2018, December 31st, 2018, not to exceed $30,000.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Mike, is this someone we've used before and we're just
I don't know, this was a new bid. I
This
think
is a
we
new
used
bid?
them before, though.
Okay,
But
but
it's
this
a
is
new
a whole
bid.
new,
Yes.
okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second. We have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
B, resolution to retain the legal services of Albert E. Cruz of the law offices of DeFrancesco, Bateman, Kuzman, Davis, Lara, and Flom, law offices and special counsel for cable franchise renewal in accordance with the proposal dated January 23rd, 2018.
Mr. Mayor, this was my suggestion.
Okay?
It's a highly technical area of the law to negotiate these contracts with cable TV franchises. I dealt with these attorneys in other litigations. One of the attorneys is the former counsel for the League of Municipalities, Ed Purcell, very talented. His partner, Mr. Cruz, has negotiated on behalf of a number of other municipalities. And I thought rather than me and the learning curve, that this would be in our best interest. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic a cost. I don't think it's going to be that dramatic a process, but it is a tedious process, and it will transcend many years in terms of the length of the contract.
Okay.
So I strongly recommend it.
Okay.
Question, when you say you don't anticipate it being that much of a cost, what cost is associated? Are you talking about just the legal fees for this?
Yes.
Because
Legal
it's,
fees, publication fees. There's a number of ways this can go, Rodney. One, it can go the easy route, which we're hoping for. Or two, it could go the elongated 3-year process, where you have multiple hearings, public input, you have the requirement of producing documents that have to be filed with the Office of Cable TV. The purpose of having these fellows do it is to avoid that, to try to do it on a negotiated process that's quicker. And let's face it, there's not a lot of competition out there.
okay, the reason for the question was I understand there's certain benefits that the township can accrue by virtue of this agreement. I don't know whether that's been discussed or whether what we're thinking, what we're going to negotiate. But maybe you have some comment on that.
Well, I think that what you're doing is you're hiring a specialty law firm. I have never done such a thing. For me to jump into this, it's going to cost you more, I think, than it would be to hire somebody who's done it many times.
No, I understand. The benefits, at least at the League of Municipalities meeting, last one, they discussed some of the capabilities of the municipal, of a cable company that the townships use. For example, the broadcast facilities. We use the broadcast facilities, I know, for publishing these meetings. There may be other things we can use that for also, but these are the, pardon me?
You can negotiate equipment.
Right.
You can negotiate additional locations. The schools.
Right.
And you can negotiate also the allowing the schools or other ones to get access?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know what meetings or discussion we've had about that, but I assume the legal company will get back with us and we'll discuss what we can do in that regard.
Well, I think how it will work is I think the committee will create a subcommittee. That would be my suggestion to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
And they would be the contact point with this law firm. And that committee would reach out to the schools, public safety, EMS, other associations to see what's out there and available to us. These contracts are 10 and 15 years long.
Right.
So technology changes faster than we know.
Right.
I couldn't tell you what's available to the schools. I just don't know. So that's why I think it's a real good idea.
Yeah.
I'm real good at knowing what I don't know.
It seems like an important, something worth looking into and negotiating, so that's why I brought it out. In fact, I'd be interested in that committee, Mr. Mayor.
Very good.
What is their rate for doing this?
It's exactly the same as mine. A paltry $135 an hour.
Oh, it's a bargain.
At half the price.
If-
I'll move the resolution to retain the legal services of Albert E. Cruz of the law offices of D. Francisco Bateman, Kuntzman, Davis, Laird, and Flom law offices.
I'll second it.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Consent agenda. We have no business registrations, and I think we can take a motion to take all from B to L.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita, we should do a roll call with this money involved.
Okay. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Shanker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Move on to personnel. Accept the resignation of Harry Rogers from the HTMUA Alternate 2, 5-year term expiring February 1st, 2023.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Authorization to advertise for a regular part-time fire code enforcement inspector.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. Appoint Todd McLennan as regular full-time fire prevention inspector at $45,500 annually effective February 20th, 2018. $500 increase to annual salary upon obtaining fire official certification.
So moved.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you. We do a roll call on this, Rita?
Sure. Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Move on to D, appoint Luann McCardle as Clerk 3 in the Public Works Department at $31,983.74 annually, effective February 6, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Rita, could I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
E, appoint Christopher Tilley as Deputy Operations Supervisor at $48,000 annually, effective February 6, 2018. $3,000 salary increase on obtaining the CPWM certification.
So moved.
Move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Could I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Approvals. The minutes of the January 16, 2018 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the ayes have it. B, payroll and bills, bill list total $6,525,049.34.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Gishard?
Yes.
Mr. Kurtz?
Yes.
Mrs. Link?
Yes.
Mr. Silva?
Yes.
And Mayor Schenker?
Yes.
All yes and carried.
Reports. Mr. Administrator.
Nothing to add to my written report.
Mr. or Miss Solicitor? I don't know.
Well, I'll take this one for now. I just want to introduce Jessica. She is my associate. She's been with our firm for the last 8 or 9 months. She is taking over as my second seat with respect to Hamilton Township. She will provide her cell phone number, her contacts to each of the department heads and each of you. To the extent I'm not available, she will be the person that you contact. And I hope to invite her to some more meetings because I really don't like wearing a suit. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Jessica, welcome. It's nice having you. Engineer?
Mayor, committee, I just have a few items on my list. The first is last Thursday night, the planning board approved Outback Steakhouse on the Black Horse Pike where the old volcanic eruptions used to be located. It's a 6,700 square foot restaurant, 240 seat, 111 stall parking lot, and their plans are to fast track the project and have it completed by the end of the year. So it was a very
Very good.
successful meeting at the planning board. There were a lot of back and forth, and I think that the planning board did an excellent job, requiring them to do a lot of site upgrades. So that was a pretty good meeting. I had 2 transitional meetings in the past since the last committee meeting. I met with Kevin Dixon, and Kevin and I have worked out all of the projects that are to the best interest of the township. In other words, anything he started, he's going to retain. I'll take new projects from here on. I met with Rita and her staff, and we had an excellent transition meeting there, too. I list in my report a number of projects that are ongoing. McDonald's is under construction, and again, this is the one on Route 40 there. They're trying to fast track and open in April. Parmar, which is the old Guy Tunney real estate office, they're under construction now, and that's going to be a 7,000 square foot liquor store. Mike Zindorf continues on Route 40. I list Main Street. I say sinkholes. That's a little extreme. I was out there within a day or 2 of the last township committee meeting, and they did some remediation work and repaired some of the South Jersey Gas road opening permits. But recently they've completed the project on Main Street, but I'm not happy with the quality of the patch that they did. They've completed the work. They walked away from it, but I'm not happy. I was on the phone with the resident engineer and the design engineer today, and I said it's not acceptable to us. So they've asked me to send some documents and take some photographs, send it. So I'm going to stay with it till I can get that repaired. It's when you're traveling on Main Street, it's right in the travel way where your wheel of your car is.
Yep.
and it's just extremely rough where they've done the patch.
Well, you inherited a tough situation there, and I think I can speak for all of Township Committee. That road was brand new when they started, and they need to put it back that way. And I would appreciate you staying on them until that happens.
It'll be my priority to.
Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah,
that.
I agree totally. I'm saying they just left it in a deplorable condition, and we deserve better on that road. But I don't think it would take, like months to do it. It would be once. How long do you think if they came back and
An afternoon.
resurfaced?
Oh, they can close it in 4 hours and do the repair.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So.
I know how important it is. It's the center of town. I mean,
Yes.
it's going to get, it's my highest attention.
Thank you. I appreciate
So,
it.
Mayor, it was the point you brought up at the last meeting. We had the project going on 50, 40, and Main Street. All state agencies, and none of them really communicated with anybody to consider what type of traffic we have coming through this community and the hardships that it has caused and the aggravation. Let alone, I know the phone calls that you got, I'm sure, but aside from the everyday talk on the street was, when is it going to be over? So now that it's over, look how they left it. You're right. I think it's got to be put back to the way it was before.
I'll put my best effort in to get some satisfaction.
So
Thank you,
let me
Steve.
ask a question. When you say 4 hours, are you saying 4 hours to get it back to the state that it was before?
No, I'm saying to mill and repave
Overlay.
that section
That's all.
of road.
They did it overnight last time.
Yeah.
They just did it one night.
Yeah.
My only concern is this is obviously, we're in the middle of winter right now, and I don't know that, maybe part of the problem with what they had to do patching there was because of the weather. The weather changes so rapidly in the winter like this, when it's freezing cold, the ground's frozen, and then it thaws, and then you have issues. So I don't know, I don't even know if do they have asphalt plants still open at this point in
They
time?
do, but to get quality asphalt, we are going to have to wait just a little bit.
So here's what we want you to do. We want you to get this done, but we don't want it done right this minute. You got to wait until it's only.
Duh.
We get one shot at it.
Right. I hear you. Well, I appreciate your diligence with this. It's a ugly situation, and like Roger said, they don't. I've gotten a lot of phone calls, and you talk to people, and when you tell them that, that we talk to them, but they don't listen. So, unfortunately, we're getting things done, but we're getting them done at the way they want to do it, and sometimes you have to put up with the pains. But this one was a little extreme.
Like I was told today, we're going to put it on the list to do the inspection, and I said, I don't want it on any list.
Right.
I want it inspected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
That's
going to
it.
send some photographs tomorrow, and I'm going to start catching their attention.
But Steve, you've seen the letter that Senator Brown wrote, right?
Yes.
So that's, he requested that they put it back the way it was before too. So I'm sure the help of them and the assembly people, we should have some push there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame that when they redid the road, it was beautiful. I mean, between that and then they did Route 50, and we're doing great here. And then
Yeah, don't
wheels
we
fell
have
off.
an ordinance that once something is repaved, you can't go in, or,
It's a 3-year road moratorium.
exactly.
yeah,
That's a state road and state
yeah,
project.
that was a state emergency. That's why it doesn't apply there.
Collapsed drain pipe.
Well, we don't want the collapsed drainage pipe either. Is the bathroom done?
We need, the signs are going to go on the building in about a week and a half.
Uh-huh.
The building's about 95% done. I have them doing some touch-up work where they scratch the walls or the floor, so I have them doing some touch-up work. So we're
Will we
extremely
have
close.
a official opening?
We will. I want to get to the point where the signs are on the building. It'll say Mays Landing Lakers on the side of the building. I'm sure I'll talk to the committee about it real soon when I feel that they're 100% ready.
Okay. that
Okay,
sounds
very good. Anything else?
Just a couple other things. I have a couple of bond release inspections to do. Later this week, I've scheduled a meeting with Brett to get started on doing an evaluation of the 2018 road program. So Brett and I are going to go look at all the streets, and I'll come up with a list and evaluation and some budgeting. And then I'm just dealing with a lot of South Jersey Gas road opening permits. So that does conclude my list.
Very good, very good. Any other questions for our engineer?
Yeah.
And Brett, the road program turned out very well last year. Everything was done quickly, really quickly, but it worked out great. Thank you very much. We're going to move on to Township Committee members. Judy?
Obviously, I'm thrilled that the Eagles won the Super Bowl. It has been so long in coming, and although I did almost tell Jim to leave the room because it was looking as though it was iffy, so because he has that not negative, that bad luck, and so no, he didn't have to leave the room. So we were just so excited. I did have a comment about Tom Brady. I think he just left the field and didn't congratulate anyone. Is that true? Do you know? It is true. That's very poor sportsmanship. So, they were, the idea that they just prevailed as a team. Anyone could have, caught those passes. They didn't have just the Gronk doing the passes, which was Tom Brady, relied on. And now I'm not really a football aficionado, but when he went to get that last pass, and all the Eagles were like, attacking him. It was great to see. So we deserve it, and I think that was fantastic. Okay.
Good. Roger?
Tonight, when you were swearing in the Cologne and Mays Landing Fire Department, I was thinking about what they do. I don't think the average citizen, including many of us up here, even though we're familiar with our departments, know what they do. And this week I had stopped out at the electronic recycling. I happened to run into Chief Tilley there. How many calls did you tell me you had last month? 42 calls. I know the chief puts together his report every month and we look at it and we just say, wow, that's a lot of calls. It would be interesting if we could at least get a compendium of how many calls the fire departments respond to, and people could get some idea of the amount of effort and the amount of time that these individuals put into leaving the dinner table, maybe not even finishing their dinner, coming down, put their turnout gear on and getting to that fire. And I know last week there was one around the corner from me that was a total loss. I could see the flames from my front porch. And how many fire departments came out to that?
1 township and 3 outside.
And it's amazing when you think about it, because I don't think many people understand what they give up, and sure, we provide them with the best equipment, but we don't train with them. We don't understand the number of hours that they put in and the sacrifices that they make to protect the life and property of our residents. And I think we owe them a debt of gratitude. And I think, I just am in awe all the time of seeing that. The other thing is, I know lately, Chief, we've had a few pictures of vehicles that didn't make it in the road and were up in the trees. I mean, people are just crazy out there today, and I would just tell everybody, they're so distracted and so preoccupied. I mean, it's a challenge every day when you drive the roads. That's why with the road situation on Main Street, you don't need roads in that condition pulling the traffic. We have enough people out there causing enough harm as it is without, that. So, that's part of public safety, is what the work that Public Works does. And I think, we have to, like with the road program, we've got to pay a lot of attention to that. And hopefully we can get it done in a quick amount of time like we did this year. So thank you. Thanks, Mayor.
Welcome. John?
I just want to touch real quick on the, again, like our engineer did on the planning board meeting where we had the Outback application. When you see an application come before you, and I'm sure all the members, some are here tonight, agree, that has up almost 22 variances in the application, and you're asking for a major site plan approval, preliminary and final, it looks like a meeting that's going to carry on for a few planning board meetings. But we were able to put that together and have that meeting done in one night, and they got their approval. And it's a testament to the quality of members we have on the planning board. Everyone, every member, Harry, Jack had Steve Nemat on his feet, so I think it was pretty interesting. And Harry asked the right questions. Everybody, all the members had questions about that application, and we got them answered. We worked well. The applicant did a great job making the presentation. He was very well prepared. And to get an application to finish in one night like that says a lot. And it's going to be a great project. And I'm
Did
really
you get sidewalks, Jack?
Yes. He took care of it.
Was Steve Nemat disappointed?
Yeah. And that's really it. We're looking forward to hearing from the Benderson Group, hopefully shortly, on the name of the two restaurants that are going to go out there on the right side of that project. It's going to go ahead. Am I right, Steve? It's just they haven't given us the information yet. They're still tight-lipped on that, but we're looking to get that. So there's some things starting to move. We're really excited about it. I'm really excited, and that's really it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, John. Rodney.
Yes, thank you. I just want to second John's comments on that project. There were very good questions, and it was completed in a day, and I'm looking forward to the opening of that restaurant. They've got some good steak and good other stuff, potatoes, sweet potatoes, onions, etc. And that, I believe, is supposed to open this year, isn't it?
Yeah, they're going to fast track it, yeah.
Yeah, so that's great. A couple of other things. The committee was invited, and myself and Judy attended or went over to St. Vincent School, and the doors were open. They invited us to come and walk around and talk with the teachers and visit classrooms, and they had some snacks there, and it was really a great affair. I enjoyed it, and I know Judy did also. It's an opportunity just to interface with the community and see how things are going. You don't hear much about the school, but it is a treasure here in the township. It's been here for a long time. 63? All right, I know ever since I've been here. And the classroom was a pleasure just to observe the students and see how orderly things are, and to see the enthusiasm of the teachers and whatnot. And so it was a good experience. I also attended a Green Team meeting this week, and a lot of things are being planned, but one is the May 5th, I believe it is, Green Day, which will be once again over at Oakcrest. Vendors are being invited. We're looking for displays to have, and we certainly invite anyone who might be interested in contributing to the effort. There's also going to be a cleanup on New York Avenue, and I think some of you know New York Avenue is always in need of a cleanup. A couple of things I noted in our package, one of which was a letter, and unfortunately I didn't bring my glasses, but a letter commending, will they work?
Okay.
Commending Ingrid Perez, this is from the GIF, on her role in working with the GIF for us. Very complimentary letter. Needless to say, the GIF, the Joint Insurance Fund, is very important, and Ingrid does a great job in communicating standards and communicating with our folks here. So they appreciate their efforts, and they sent a nice little letter. A resolution honoring the recognition and service of the Atlantic County Municipal Joint Insurance Fund Committee chairs, and she is one of them. And also, we got approval from the Pinelands Commission to accept our Pinelands, not Pinelands, excuse me, the, what is it called? Phil, we got approval from the Pinelands Commission for the model cities, not model cities, what is it called? The
Safe cities?
no, no, it's the Mays Landing Mays Landing Neighborhood Plan. And Phil testified at the hearing, I think, what was that, in December? On behalf of that plan, and we certainly appreciate that. They approved it, so he obviously did a good job. Just one other comment. We got a letter from, or a proposed resolution, I believe it was, from Buena Vista Township regarding bees and state legislation, or at least proposed state legislation on bees. Apparently, they call themselves I think it's the bee capital of the state. Apparently, they have a lot of beehives there, and the state law would put some restrictions on that, and they feel that would hurt some of their activities. I don't know whether there's any feeling about that here, but if there is, they should let us know.
Our residents, former chief of the Cologne Fire Department,
Right.
Elkner, he's got so many hives. Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
he talked to me about it.
Oh, he did? Okay.
And I think, yeah, it's something that I personally would support.
Well, maybe we should consider supporting that resolution.
We can. Mike, would you look at that resolution?
Yeah, put it on next
Would you ask
agenda.
Mike to look
Yes, that would be fine.
All right.
Those glasses, you have to return them.
Yeah, no, I like them. They're
Easy now.
They're better than mine. There's also just one other thing. There's a letter here about the $15 an hour minimum wage and the impact that could have on our local farms here. I don't know whether anybody's given thought to that, and whether that's something we ought to take a position on. But it is interesting when you look at it. They mentioned, for example, that we're in competition, obviously, with other blueberry producers. And in Georgia, I think it said they get the workers down there get what, $5.15 an hour, and then some other place they get $7 an hour. Here, they'd have to pay $15 an hour. Now, I don't know what that will do to our industry, but it is something to think about. Thank you.
Good? Can I borrow those? Thanks.
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that one of our former committeemen, Tom Palmenteri, his father just passed away.
Sorry to hear.
And he was honored. His father was a World War II vet, 92 years old, and hundreds of people came to see him in the state. So,
yeah,
you could send a note to Tom. It would be appreciated.
Yeah, I want to second that. I meant to mention that it was the obituary. It's the longest obituary I've ever seen, but he's got all kinds of accomplishments, and yeah, he was quite a producer.
Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up, Judy. I didn't know. First of all, I would like to clear up a little something. It's not a real big deal, but tonight we had to accept the resignation of Harry Rogers from the Hamilton Township MUA. Harry was kind enough to volunteer to be appointed to that, and due to a technicality with his position on the planning board, we weren't allowed to do that. So I just wanted to make it clear that it wasn't Harry's choice to step down, and I appreciate you stepping forward and wanting to serve on multiple boards. But unfortunately, we couldn't do that. I just want to be very clear that it was my fault for allowing that to happen. I wasn't aware of the rules. I am now, though. So I wanted to make that very clear. Also, you know, Harry and Mr. Percy and John Kurtz, they make up a very good group of people that we call our planning board. And, you know, one of the most important things of a township is attracting new business and getting them to come here. I don't believe everybody in this township realizes how much local business affects your tax base. It's extremely important. Now, I I had mentioned to somebody that Outback Steakhouse was coming, and they said to me, well, we don't need one of those, we already have one. I said, no, that Outback, whether it's moving here or it's that one staying there, is an EHT. It does absolutely no good for us. It doesn't help our township when it comes to paying for things that we have to pay for. As far every time you do the budget, all that comes into account. So, you know, there seems to be a movement that you're seeing on television now, and I think we should get on board with, is shop local. There are businesses, including our mall and other small businesses on Main Street, that are, I hate to use the word suffering, but they're not doing as well as they could do or as well as they want to do. And I think it's very important that we take a good hard look at where we shop, where we eat, where we, you know, it is easy to get on the internet and just go ahead and buy something, and then 2 days later it's at your doorstep. But if you take the time to go to the mall or one of the stores in the area and buy it there, you're putting somebody to work and you're paying your tax base. Because when these businesses don't succeed and when they fail, we fail. We are very, very fortunate to have this type of a retail mecca in our town, in our township, and we benefit from it. And anyone who lives in this township and doesn't support that really, truly doesn't get it. So I just wanted to thank the planning board for making it quick and easy for Outback to get in here and get everything done. And if they're up and running and by the end of the year, that would be fantastic. We'll take it. And we'll take anybody else that wants to come here. Phil and Mike and everyone else in the township, I want you to be very encouraging to people to come here and build here and open a business here. And we will promote our citizens and residents to go to and support their businesses. And we have to. There is a definite need for that. But thank you. I appreciate it. The last thing I'd like to mention is I'd like to announce that the New Jersey State League of Municipalities and the Township have an excellent scholarship opportunity for high school juniors and seniors of Hamilton Township. Once again, the Township has teamed up with the League of Municipalities to offer 3 $1,000 scholarships through the Lewis Bay Second Future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition. Statewide scholarship competition is open to high school juniors seniors, and it centers on the theme, what my municipal government does best, and it encourages our future municipal leaders. I've mailed full details to this application process and contact to 11 local high schools that serve Hamilton Township students, and we have posted it on the township's website. I also have some applications here tonight, which when I say I, that means Lisa. So if you're interested, you need to see her at the end of the evening. I hope to see many more of our young adults representing the Township of Hamilton in the future Municipal Leader Scholarship Competition. And maybe someday they'll be sitting up here. That completes my comments. I want to open it up to public comment. Seeing no one in public comment,
Move to close the public portion.
Second.
we have a motion, a second to close public comment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? I don't believe we have executive session, so a motion for adjournment is in order.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it.
Oh, that was hard.